Going on, guys? My name is Norm, otherwise known as To Live and Die. That's my screen name. What's going on, guys? All right, good. Everything's working. My sound sounds great. Not gonna have any music or anything going on in this video. There's no sounds on these web pages, so don't worry about anything in the background. I'm just gonna trying to get up my pages here to show you what I do here. So, the title of this video is to show off a strategy that I use for picking my uh, this is the NFL.com's perfect challenge. So the perfect challenge is you want to pick the eight slots. So in the perfect challenge, what that is, let me show you exactly what that is. Um, oh my gosh. Maybe it's not here. Oh, there we go. Anyways, what you're trying to do is for eight positions, you want to choose who you think is going to get the most fantasy points that week. And if you choose all eight, you win $1 million. So there's a lot of people playing this. Obviously, when you're talking about money, that they're giving away, you're going to have lots of money. Or you're going to have lots of people playing this, doing this, trying it out, and seeing, and that kind of thing. Well, anyways, on the site you can also create groups. You can create groups of friends, large groups and whatever. And I'm involved in doing it. I like doing it because you can choose anybody. There's no restrictions. There's no draft, on who you pick and stuff like that. So you just all you want to do is pick the player in whatever position, wide receiver, running back, et cetera, that you think is going to have the most points for that week. So I'm going to show you a particular strategy that I use for doing this, and it's just one strategy of many that are out there who that they choose. Some people like to look at all the numbers, look at all the defenses, offenses, who's playing well, who's not, all that good stuff. Well, I'm going to show you a really easy way to figure that out just by looking at two different rankings. So first of all, on the left hand side, we're going to have fantasy points against. So in other words, let's look at the quarterback position. These are the teams in which that are allowing, from top to bottom, that are allowing the most points in that position. So in other words, and by the way, we're going to do the last 4 weeks because this is week 6 of the season. We need the last 4 weeks because we want to know how a team is doing recently. So we're going to do the last 4 weeks, and that'll give us a nice, number to go with. The same thing will be over here on the other side. We're going to do the scoring leaders on the other side. But let's first talk about the left-hand side of the screen here, which is the fantasy points against. What this means is, so the number one or the worst team here at the top here is the New England Patriots. What this means is that quarterbacks going against the New England Patriots are averaging the most points against their defense. And if you scroll over here, you can see what their average is. It's 20. The New England defense is allowing 23.47 points of fantasy against them. Okay, so that's what this list here is, and it ranks it from worst at the top to the best at the bottom. So the worst is the New England Patriots. Now this is the quarterback position, and the best is the Jacksonville Jaguars. And then you have all the other teams in between. So you have the middle teams. For example, there's 32 teams. So the middle teams would be something like the Green Bay Packers, New York Jets, Atlanta Falcons. Those are the mid teams. That are doing the average. All right, so that's what this left-hand side screen is looking at, just so you know. On the right-hand side, we have the scoring leaders, the people, and we're going to do the last 4 weeks, the people who are actually doing scoring the fantasy points. And so that's going to be on the right-hand side, and as you can see, this averages it out. Also, you can see over here on the very right column the number of points they have for the last 4 weeks, and these are the leaders. These are the people that are actually doing all the scoring. Okay, so very easy. What you can do then from here is we're going to just make sure that scoring leaders are showing at the top. Make sure this fantasy points against is showing at the top so that you see what's going on here. So all you have to do here is in any given week, you just look at these numbers and you compare them. You compare each side to who's giving up the most and who's scoring the most, and that way you're probably going to see, who's going to be able to really rack up some points against the other team because they're allowing the most. So what I would do is just look. So we're going to look at the quarterbacks first, and we're going to go through each position. Okay, so quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, kicker, and a defense. So we're going to go through each position. I'll just show you who I would pick, and give you examples of why and all that good stuff. So first of all, we have here's our scoring leaders, and right here is their opponent: Cleveland, New York Jets, Minnesota, Pittsburgh, for Alex Smith and all this good stuff. And so you would see, okay, Cleveland is over here in this list as the one of the teams that are giving up the most points, and yes, they are. So Deshaun Watson he's the quarterback for the Houston Texans, is the most has been getting the most points over the last 4 weeks, and they're playing a team who's giving up the 4th most points over the last 4 weeks, and this is a lock. This is like you would for sure pick this this Deshaun Watson. So I would go with Deshaun Watson in this case as a quarterback. Just to give you an example of a bad matchup. Like something you would not want to do. And by the way, this only gives you the first 20. I think it only gives you the first 28 or something like that. Let's see, rank down to 25. So it gives you the first 25 point leaders, as you can see. So once you get down here to 25, you're looking at quarterbacks that aren't really doing all that great. Actually, you can go over here to the next page. Okay, so here you go down to 32. Once you get down to 32, these are quarterbacks that aren't really doing all that great. So let's take a team like Joe Flacco against the Chicago Bears. Joe Flacco is the 31st, quarterbacks scoring leader-wise, so it's really bad. And he's going against a Chicago Bears defense that's middle of the ground, ranked number 20. But see, that's still way down here. This is an example of something bad that you don't want. You don't want this quarterback going against this defense because they are actually preventing the quarterback from scoring a lot of points, and Joe Flacco isn't scoring a lot of points, and that would be something bad. But for the good, you have a dream matchup here of Deshaun Watson, the leading quarterback the last 4 weeks, going against the number 4 worst quarterback defense in the Cleveland Browns. So for sure, Deshaun Watson is going to get the nod going this week. And a lot of people think so. I've already set my lineup, and yeah, everyone's picking Deshaun Watson against that Cleveland Browns defense. All right, let's go to running back. So here is one of the things that I saw last week. Last week, going into the New England Tampa Bay game, you had this exact same scenario where New England was the team that was giving up the most. Well, it was for wide receivers and quarterbacks, but you had for quarterbacks, you had New England, and they're still there. You have the New England Patriots are the team that giving up the most fantasy points for quarterbacks, and their quarterback, Tom Brady, is the second most point scorer in quarterback. So you have this kind of dichotomy going. You have this kind of like the tale of both sides of the ball going right here. You have Tom Brady, who's been putting up monstrous numbers over the last over his lifetime or over his career in NFL, and at the same time, their defense is giving up the most points to the quarterbacks. It's just one of those things that are happening. Well, you have the same thing with the Los Angeles Rams, as you can see. The Los Angeles Rams are giving up the most points to running backs so far in the last 4 weeks, and here you have Todd Gurley, who is the most. Who's the best running back the last 4 weeks as far as fantasy points, 87 points, fantasy points. So you have this kind of weird situation where their running back is really good, but their running back defense is terrible. so you have this kind of thing going on. So, but look right below Leonard Fournette, right below Todd Gurley's name, you have Leonard Fournette, and guess who they're playing? They're playing the Los Angeles Rams. So you're going to pick Leonard Fournette as a running back. And on NFL, in the NFL.com's Perfect Challenge, you have 2 running backs that you can pick. So you have Leonard Fournette, obviously, as number 1. And then you look over here, and Pittsburgh Steelers are number 2 worst at running backs, at fantasy points for, running backs. They're the number 2 worst team for allowing fantasy points against them for running backs. And look, they're playing the Kansas City Chiefs. And Kareem Hunt is number 3. So right there is your 2 running backs you want to pick, Leonard Fournette and Kareem Hunt. Over the last 4 weeks, they've scored 77 and 70 points respectively over here. So if you take 4 into that, it's kind of easy to see. It's almost 80, so it's about 20, and this is a little under 20. What is that? 18 or something like that. So, or no, like 16. Yeah, 16. Well, 16 times 4 is what? 64. So yes, 17 points, whatever, and that's pretty good. You know, when you get 17 points, 20 points average, and you're going against the two of the worst running defenses, your running backs are easy to see. Easy to see who you should pick here. Very, very easy to see. So there you go. That would be my running backs. You have other good matchups here. You have Melvin Gordon against the Oakland. Oakland is here at number 10, so Melvin Gordon is definitely a good pick. Even though they're at Oakland, this is kind of a good pick. The Oakland Raiders defense hasn't been doing that good the last 4 weeks, and this is something you want to exploit in this. Ezekiel Elliott has a bye, so you don't, obviously you're not going to pick him. Devontae Freeman going against the Miami defense. The Miami defense is pretty good, so this is something you don't want to pick, even though he's at home. The Miami defense down here is at number 25, which is pretty good in allowing points, and this is in the dome, and the defense is going to have good footing and all this stuff. So this is probably a matchup you don't want, even though the Atlanta Falcons is very, very potent. And of course, at the bottom of the barrel, you got Ty Montgomery, you got LaShawn McCoy. I'm sorry, LaShawn McCoy has a bye. You have Alvin Kamara at Detroit, and as you can see, Detroit is way down here, like at number 20. This will be a bad pick to make. But see, that's the great thing about fantasy. You just never know. Yeah, I look at the numbers because I think they tell the tale most of the time. And you just never know. One of these quarterbacks is going to have a breakout game, and you might have him on your roster, and you might not. And when you see a quarterback have a breakout game, like Todd Gurley had, what was it, 2 or 3 weeks ago? He had that Thursday night game where he scored like 3 touchdowns, had like 100 some yards, whatever, and you're like, oh, why didn't I pick him? You just don't know. But the points over the last 4 weeks, that kind of tells you, hey, these players are doing the best, and these defenses are doing the worst. So, all right, wide receivers. Okay, so wide receivers. This week is very interesting. I was looking at this last night, and the poor Philadelphia Eagles, they're number 2 worst over the last 4 weeks. And guess what? They're playing the Carolina Panthers on a short week in Carolina. Now, here's the interesting thing you have to know about, or you have to look at when you're talking fantasy, is you got to look at the injury reports. You got to make sure you know who's playing, who's not playing, and stuff like that. So what I do is I'll look down here at the Carolina wide receivers, and we have Devin Funchess, and we have Kelvin Benjamin right here. Kelvin Benjamin, number 22. Devin Funchess is number 9. These are pretty good running backs. These are pretty good wide receivers. These guys are scoring the points. These are 2 of the guys that are scoring all the points in the league. I mean, for crying out loud, you have Devin Funchess, who scored 42 points for the last 4 weeks. Take 4 into that, you can see what the numbers are. It's almost 11 points per game. That's pretty good. So anyways, you see that he did not practice. So you read the report of why he did not practice. So you see, oh, I'm sorry. That's the wrong person. Where's Funchess at? Here we go, Funchess. So Funchess doesn't have a designation for Thursday's contest against the Eagles, Steve Reed of the Associated Press reports. After back-to-back absences to begin his Week 6 preparations, Funchess returned to practice Wednesday at full capacity, erasing any doubt about his ability to play on Thursday. So there you go. He's going to play, and I think against this Philadelphia defense, as bad as it is, you have to play both of these wide receivers. If you don't want to go like a full team wide receiver, we'll talk about that in just a second. We'll talk about who else I would pick in this case. But I think you have to go either Devin Funchess or Kelvin Benjamin against this Philadelphia Eagles defense, since they're allowing the most. Now, look, here's the worst, Tampa Bay. And if you look at who's playing Tampa Bay, Larry Fitzgerald. So if you don't want to go Devin Funchess since he was hurt, or if you don't want to go Kelvin Benjamin because he's so far down the list, then you would look at a Larry Fitzgerald, because number 1, they're at home, and number 2, they're without David Johnson, and Larry Fitzgerald is being targeted more by Carson Palmer. Okay, so on we go. We're talking fantasy points against and the scoring leaders here. So another, you just look at the teams who are doing the worst here, and you see Kansas City Chiefs up here. The wide receivers, you look to see who's playing the Kansas City Chiefs. Well, Antonio Brown is a very good wide receiver. As you can see, he's the 11th most scoring wide receiver, scoring 42.30 points for the last 4 weeks, and he's at Kansas City. See, the at is an interesting thing too. So the way I like to think about it is, if a team is at another team and the other team is bad at a certain position, like the Kansas City Chiefs are really bad at defending the wide receiver, and they have a team coming into their place, the team's away coming into their place, I kind of like that for wide receivers. The reason is because if a team goes down, let's say the Pittsburgh Steelers are losing in the third quarter, midway through the third quarter, whenever the time is. But let's say it's the third quarter and a team is losing, not by very much. Maybe there's a chance that the team can come back. Maybe the score is a little close. Then to me, the team would probably try to throw the ball a little bit more in the second half to try to make up that ground to catch up. And this is where Antonio Brown just is a beast. He can really ramp up the offense and help Ben Roethlisberger get out of trouble in those situations. The away thing comes into a factor because of the noise. Obviously, we're talking about Kansas City being one of the loudest stadiums, and also because they're just not familiar with their with the surroundings, how the field is, and all this stuff. But still, when you're talking about a team that wants to come back and win the game, or if you're just talking about a team who just wants to, let's say they're ahead by 3 and they want to score a touchdown and try to get it out of range of the other team to try to come back, this is where wide receivers like Antonio Brown really make their mark in a game. And so Antonio Brown here would be a nice pick away for something like that. So you look at over here at the Dallas Cowboys. As you can see, there isn't really any leaders playing at Dallas. I'm sorry, Dallas Cowboys have a bye. Sorry, my fault. San Francisco 49ers at Washington. So you look at try to look for Washington over here in this column, and you see there's no Washington, so no picks there. I'm sorry, San Francisco 49ers. San Francisco 49ers, so that'd be SF, and you would look here, and you don't see anything. And the New England Patriots. Here's New England. Jermaine Kearse, might be a pick for you. And then you also go the opposite way. You look at Chris Hogan playing the New York Jets. So you look down here at New York Jets. Well, here they are at number 12. So Chris Hogan might be a target for you to put in your lineup. Look at DeAndre Hopkins against Cleveland defense, who are not here at the top. So maybe he's not a good one, even though he's such a good wide receiver against a Cleveland, team who probably will let him score points anyways. That might be interesting. And he's at home. They're going to be in Houston that week. Green Bay. See here's Green Bay at number 9, and here's Stephon Diggs, who did not practice, by the way. Let's see what he says here. Stephon Diggs, who didn't practice Wednesday, expects to play Sunday versus the Packers. Diggs managed to garner just 49 yards against the Vikings. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so he's definitely going to play, but this is another great matchup to me when you have Minnesota at home, and you have Stephon Diggs, who is questionable, all this stuff, but could be a good pick in the wide receiver slot there. So there's your wide receivers. To me, it boils down to these two teams at the top here. You have Tampa Bay, you have Philadelphia. Philadelphia is hurting because their two main corners, or their two main defensive corners are out, and then you have Tampa Bay defense, their defense hasn't been all that great as far as the passing game from other teams. So yeah, these are things that you would look at. Look at T.Y. Hilton for Tennessee here, and they're at Tennessee. This gives a great, when you're at away, you tend to try to throw the ball more to try to get, help your team and stuff like that. So yeah, these are good opportunities for these wide receivers when they're away. Like I said, Chris Hogan at New York Jets. New York Jets are 12th. You got T.Y. Hilton at Tennessee. Tennessee are the 6th worst team against the wide receivers, etc. So yeah, so I would look at Kelvin Benjamin, uh, Devin Funchess, Larry Fitzgerald, since he's at home. And who else was I say? Oh yeah, Green Bay's Stephon Diggs, or Stephon Diggs against the Green Bay since they're so high up here. And who else? See Denver? No. Oh, Tennessee. T.Y. Hilton, Tennessee. Yeah, those are the type of wide receivers I would look for. All right, let's move on to the tight ends. Tight ends are kind of tricky because how the tight ends get most of their yardage is by the quarterback throwing to them, which is basically a wide receiver type of stat, isn't it? But we're lucky, the NFL.com gives us a tight end stat here that we can just scroll down to, and we get to see what it's broken down to by tight end, who's giving up the most points by tight end, and that's great. So we're going to look at it right now. And as you can see, Travis Kelce is the top tight end. He's going against Pittsburgh, and you don't see Pittsburgh at the top here. So that's probably a bad matchup. And look at this. He did not practice, so he's been hurt. Rob Gronkowski has... Okay, so he was present at practice, but he did not practice. Did not have a full practice. Okay. Then you have Zach Ertz at Carolina Panthers, and you see Carolina Panthers are not here. So basically, what this is saying, what we're seeing here is that these top tight ends are playing pretty good defenses against the tight end. Like for example, Pittsburgh is down here at 25. The New York Jets are here at 27, and the Philadelphia Eagles, the Carolina Panthers are here at 20. So if anything, the Carolina Panthers are the worst team, even though they're good against the tight end like Zach Ertz. So we come back up to the top, and here number 4 here, Cameron Brate is at Arizona, and I love tight ends away because the quarterback, with all the noise that's going on, they have to do their check downs, and guess what? That tight end is perfect for a check down away. And look at this, we have Arizona here as the 12th worst tight end defense. So I'm tempted to pick Cameron Brate. We have the Houston Texan defense giving up 8th most points to the tight ends, and here we have David Njoku. And then we have the Carolina Panthers tight end against the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Philadelphia Eagles are doing a pretty good job against tight ends. So to me, I would go Cameron Brate, maybe even Zach Ertz, even though they're on a short week. Short week is great for a tight end because, man, that quarterback can just check down to a tight end and use a tight end all day long. You have Charles Clay for Buffalo. They have a bye. You have Hunter Henry at Oakland. Oakland is not even in the picture here. They're doing pretty good against tight ends, so that's not a good pick. Los Angeles Rams. Let's see where they are at. Oh, they're here at 15. Not too. Delaney Walker, Indianapolis. Now here we go. So the quarterback for Tennessee, Marcus Mariota, as you can see, he's been using his tight end pretty often. He has 22 points over the last 4 weeks. That's averaging 5 points a game. And he's playing the Indianapolis Colts at home, who are allowing the 7th most points to tight end. So this could be a pick also. But for my money, I would pick Cameron Brate at Arizona, since he's been getting the most points. As you can see, he's number 4, 38 points, and Arizona's here at number 12, and they're away at Arizona, and that gives that noise, the confusion that you're seeing, is great for a tight end. So I'm going Cameron Brate with the tight end. All right, kickers. Oh, this is one of those things. It comes down to the domes, okay, to the fields that are easy to kick in, and you'll see that as you go down through the scoring leaders, or and down through the teams that play at home in domes. So Atlanta Falcons defense is the worst, as you can see, and they're in a dome, and you wonder why. The kicker has great atmosphere in the dome. You don't have wind, you don't have nothing, so they're going to give up a lot of points when you play in a dome. So Dallas Cowboys defense, the Atlanta Falcons defense, as you can see. Yeah, so you have this. Indianapolis Colts defense, even though they're doing pretty good against kickers, they're still in the dome, And the exact opposite is true on the other side. The scoring leaders, you have, or it's the same thing is true on the other side. You have the kickers that are at home in the dome usually do pretty good. Usually. So you have Matt Bryant here for the Atlanta Falcons. They're in a dome. You have Adam Vinatieri. He's in a dome. Matt Prater. He's in a dome at number 7. Yeah. So and then Greg Zuerlein scored a lot of points when he was in Dallas in the dome. So yeah, you have that thing going on. But what's interesting to me is this Atlanta defense uh, allowing the most kicking points, and they're in a dome. That's very interesting to me, and also the Dallas Cowboys, as you can see. So right away, I look for Atlanta, someone to be playing Atlanta here, and I don't see anything at the top. So I'm not seeing anything against Atlanta here on this in this list, and I'm not seeing. Am I seeing Dallas here? Who's playing Dallas? I'm sorry, Dallas has a bye, so we're not looking for Dallas. Sorry, but Atlanta's playing Miami. Well, the Miami kicker is not here. So guess what? We're not going to pick whoever's playing the Atlanta Falcons. The San Francisco 49ers are giving the most points, and we have the Washington kicker. And where is he at? Ah, here he is. Dustin Hopkins. And he's at home. So there's a pick. That might be a pick you might take. Even though against this San Francisco 49ers defense, they might score a lot of touchdowns, but still, you're giving your opportunity for your kicker to score points. All right, so the Oakland Raiders are playing Los Angeles Chargers. So we have the Chargers anywhere on here? No, we don't. No Chargers. And then we have the Los Angeles Chargers at Oakland. So you have the Oakland playing the Chargers, and you have the exact opposite. The Chargers are playing Oakland, of course, you know. So you look for so you look for the Oakland, the kicker for the Oakland, and he's not here. So nope, don't want to pick that. Then you have the Denver Broncos against the New York Giants. What do you have the New York Giants kicker here? Nope, no New York Giants kicker. Arizona Cardinals defense against Tampa Bay. Is the Tampa Bay kicker here? Ah, Nick Folk. Nick Folk. Sorry. So he's on injured IR, as you can see. He's on injured reserve, so we're not going to pick him. Carolina Panthers against Philadelphia. Where's the Philadelphia kicker? Jake Elliott. Now we're talking. And he's away. And Carolina's giving up the 8th most points to kickers. And Jake Elliott's away. I like it. I like it. I like that a lot. Okay, let's keep going. Houston, Indianapolis. Indianapolis. So where's the Tennessee kicker? Because they're at Tennessee. Okay, we don't want that. We want the domes. So let's see here. Who's playing Detroit? Oh, look at this. New Orleans Saints. They're doing pretty good against kickers. And look at Matt Prater here. He also plays in a dome at home, and he's number 7. But they're playing against the worst, one of the best kicking defenses in the league of the New Orleans Saints. So this might not be a great pick for Matt Prater, but I am liking the who was I saying? Oh, the Arizona Cardinals, Tampa Bay. No, it wasn't them. Who was I thinking about here? It was so the LA Rams. Ah, right here. Even though the Jacksonville Jaguars defense is kind of down there, it's like at 10 here, you know, tied for 10th. They're playing against Greg Zuerlein, who's been massacring people, you know, as a kicker. And then you have Jake Elliott away at Carolina, and Carolina Panthers are here at number 8 most. So I'm going to go Jake Elliott because of Carson Wentz's ability to throw the ball down the field, and their offense has a pretty good way to get down the field, even against the Carolina defense, which, by the way, would help Jake Elliott score points. If the Carolina defense can hold them from getting in the end zone and just allow them to score field goals, well, hey, Jake Elliott is getting a lot of points. So to me, Jake Elliott here is the best choice. And then I would go number 2 if you have like another kicker on your thing that you want to go with, or another kicker you think is better. I would definitely go with Matt. I might even I might go Greg Zerline because they're playing as the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are right here at number 10. So Greg Zerline, Jake Elliott. Who's playing in the domes here? Let's see. Indianapolis not playing in a dome. Ryan Suckup is at home. So he's not going to be playing in a dome. Um, maybe Will Lutz. Yeah, something like that. But I would go Greg Zerline, Jake Elliott, and possibly see the L.A. Rams, San Diego Chargers, and possibly Jason Myers of the Jacksonville, whatever. So yeah, definitely one of these two. So there's your kickers. And then your defenses. Oh man, defenses. Love to look at the defense stats because it's so interesting. All right, so the worst team allowing the most defensive points is the Miami Dolphins over the last 4 weeks. Pittsburgh Steelers are the second worst. Chicago Bears third. Indianapolis Colts. Blah blah. Okay, so you see who the worst teams are, and over here you see who the best defenses are over the last 4 weeks. So what you want to do is you want to try to get who the best is over here and get as far up this list as you can as you go down. So let's look at Jacksonville Jaguars against LA Rams. And you're not going to see the Rams here, as you can see. Let's make this list a little bigger. Make this list a little bigger. All right, Detroit Lions, New Orleans Saints, and they're not even here. Seattle Seahawks have a bye. Kansas City Chiefs, Pittsburgh. Well, there's probably your your pick. Even though the Pittsburgh defense is trying to get better, this Kansas City Chiefs offense is the real deal. All right, Buffalo Bills have a bye. The Cincinnati Bengals have a bye. Houston Texans. Now they got hurt. They lost J.J. Watt and they lost another guy on our defense, and that's why I don't like this matchup. Even though they're playing the Cleveland Browns, a cupcake team, I still don't like Houston because of the amount of players that they lost to injury this week. They lost 2 big players. J.J. Watt was their hugest, and they lost him for this game. Even though they're at home, it's like you have to. You almost want to pick Houston. All right, let's keep going down. Kansas City. You're not going to find Kansas City here. Kansas City is not allowing any players, any defenses. Green Bay Packers at Minnesota Vikings. They're not even here. Atlanta Falcons. See Atlanta Falcons here. The Miami defense and Atlanta Falcons is number 6. Baltimore Ravens, Chicago. Now, okay, here's the interesting thing. So, over the last 4 weeks, you would almost automatically say, well, you got to pick the Kansas City Chiefs against the Pittsburgh Steelers because the Kansas City Chiefs are at home. The same can be said about the Baltimore Ravens. They're at home against the Chicago Bears, and they're even worse. Or I'm sorry, they're only 3rd behind Pittsburgh. In fact, it's the same. They're allowing 10.25, and Chicago Bears are allowing 10.25, and they're in Baltimore. And we know that the Chicago Bears offense is nothing compared to what the Pittsburgh Steelers offense is. In other words, the Pittsburgh Steelers offense is going to get points against this Kansas City defense. But the Chicago Bears against the Baltimore Ravens? No, I don't think so. So I'm more inclined to pick the Baltimore Ravens defense against a Chicago Bears than I am the Kansas City defense against the Pittsburgh Steelers, because we know the Pittsburgh Steelers have an offense that can just take off. All right, let's just keep going down a little bit here. New York Giants, Denver Broncos. Now, New York Giants are right here, and they're in Denver, and they're allowing 7.75. So are the Oakland Raiders and the Arizona Cardinals, as you can see. So, but they're so far down. They're number 13. It starts to kind of fizzle out here as you keep going down this list. Denver Broncos still have a great defense and everything, and they're at home, but it's just harder to pick these teams down here. These teams up here make more sense. And yeah, it's very, very tempting to pick the Kansas City Chiefs number one against this Pittsburgh Steelers, offense, and it's very, very tempting to pick the Baltimore Ravens, who are, by the way, are scoring. If you want to see what the scoring is here, 40. Look, the Kansas City Chiefs are up here at 42 points over the last 4 games. That's 10 points a game. And then you have the Baltimore Ravens down here at 28 points over the last. That's 7 points a game, and they're at home, and they're playing a much worse offense than the Kansas City Chiefs are. I'm going with the Baltimore Ravens on this. Okay, guys, that's my strategy for this. This is week 6 of the 2017 football season. I hope you liked. And that's basically how I look at this. Really easy way to look at the stats to see who's the scoring leaders are, who the fantasy points against are, and just to pick your numbers, pick your lineup like that, because those are the people scoring, and these are the teams letting the people score, and it's kind of easy to do. So hopefully you guys liked. Wherever you are, good luck in what you do, and have fun. See you later.